Early voting in the United States for the 2018 midterm election has started in pretty much every state, and the numbers are in, kind of, because there's no official number because they can't count them until the actual election day itself. But from everything they've gathered and every kind of indicator that they have, this is looking to be a very strange early election, at least. Typically in the early voting for an election, the Democrats lead hand over fist because the Democratic voters are the ones that go out and vote well before because they're unable to get that one specific voting day off, or they get lucky and they have a weekday off or something to that effect. Whereas Republicans typically just take voting day itself off. So their numbers are usually much smaller for early voting. This time, however, the Republicans are leading the early voting. It's something that has rarely, if ever, happened in modern history, and it's not Republican websites that are saying this. It's basically every news site that can kind of extrapolate an idea. They're all saying the Republicans are leading in the early voting, and that is terrifying to some people because this is something that should not happen, because Republicans always come out in bigger droves on election day. So this is rather telling, and the idea of the blue wave is dying quickly. Unfortunately, or fortunately depending on your outlook, this is something that I have been predicting for a while now because of all of the insanity that the Democrats have been putting forth the last several months. I don't care how many media outlets try to spin it that the Kavanaugh case, for example, was a win for Democrats, or it was a major morale blow to Republicans. Nah, that made Republicans realize what the fuck is going on here. It pissed them off. It drove them to vote to make sure that they didn't get lazy. You have to realize here, the midterm elections are elections that basically no one gives a shit about. A typical turnout for a midterm election is something in the ballpark of 30, maybe 40%. That's being generous. A presidential election, you'll see something like 60, 70. We here in America have the patriotic duty and right to vote. We don't like to use it because we're stupid. So a voter turnout that is quite large compared to the norm for early voting, and quite red for an early voting compared to the norm, is rather scary for the Democrats. It's not only the insanity that they've done. I also theorized that the Social Democrats and the Democrats have basically created a splinter that you saw about a decade ago between the Republicans and the Tea Party, when those two were both vying for essentially the same vote. You had it so that both were kind of getting their asses handed to them. And I theorize that that's one of the reasons why the Democrats are hurting right now. Now, this could all change drastically on election day itself, and that's something that I would keep an eye on. But if I was a betting man, I would say that the blue wave is not going to happen. Not a chance. The Senate is absolutely going to remain in Republican control, especially because something like 70% of the seats in the Senate that are up for vote are Democrat seats. So that they ain't getting the majority or super majority that they were expecting. The Congress is the wild card because that changes up every 2 years. All seats in Congress are up for vote every 2 years, so Who knows what could happen with that, but I doubt the Democrats would win or win by a big margin in that regard. This is something that I have been warning the left and the Democrats for a long time. You can look back to a lot of my videos where I say stop being so damn insane, stop being so damn extreme. You're going to alienate not only your moderate base, but the centrists like myself that you need to vote for you. And I think that that's what we're seeing right now because of the splintering of the Democrats and the Social Democrats, and then just the left in general having gone absolute batshit nuts these last few months, years, however long you want to say it. We're seeing something that we've never seen before, and if you're a Democrat, it's going to be very, very scary. The one good thing of all this is that we're actually starting to see a larger turnout for the midterm than maybe any time in history. They're expecting over 45% if the early voting numbers continue into voting day, if not beyond 50%. And the last time we here in America had above a 50% turnout for a midterm was fucking 1914. Did I mention we don't like to exercise our right to vote because we're stupid? So if it took this giant amount of insanity to get people out to vote, at least something good came of it. And I hope that this makes people realize that they need to go out and vote for every major election, not just the presidential one. You need to exercise your citizen right and duty to go out and vote. I want to see the midterm and the presidential elections every time. I want to see a 90% turnout. If we can actually get that and keep that steady, I will be a happy boy. Because at least then, even if it's something I don't agree with, our democracy is working as it should. But that's just my take on it. I want to see the Democrats come back to sanity so that we can actually have a two-party system. Well, I'd love to see a 3, 4, 5-party system, but that ain't going to happen. So I at least like a two-party system, if not so that we aren't just run by the Republicans for the next 20 years. That's going to be interesting. Something needs to be fixed. Something needs to happen. And it needs to happen fast, because if this is the massive failure that I think it's going to be, come next presidential election, it's going to be complete and utter chaos unless things are changed and fixed. Because the Democrats, from the presidential election to this midterm, learned nothing, doubled down on everything, and it's having the exact disastrous result I thought it would. They can't afford to double down again. If they do, they will be dead. They will be gone. This will turn into Whig Party 2.0. So I say this to anyone on the left that is listening. Fix your shit. Stop your politicians from being so fucking insane. It's that simple. It really is. This has been Math Machine. Wanting to end this by reminding people to actually go out, exercise their civic duty, and vote this midterm. I know that midterms may seem like a throwaway election. They are not. They're still an important election. You should go out and vote. I don't care who you vote for. I don't care what you vote for. Go out and vote. If you are a citizen, if you are eligible to vote, you need to do this. It is important in a democracy that we have people actually partaking in a democracy, so it's fucking working. Peace out.